Jeremiah chapter 29. After 70 years, future hope. Now these are the words of the letter of the prophet Jeremiah sent from Jerusalem to the elders remaining in exile, as well as to the Kohanim, the prophets, and to all the people Nebuchadrezzar had carried off captive from Jerusalem to Babylon. After Jeconiah the king, the queen mother, the officers, the princes of Judah and Jerusalem, and the craftsmen and the smiths had to leave Jerusalem. The letter was sent by the hand of Elash, son of Shaphan, and Gemariah, son of Hilkiah, whom King Zedekiah of Judah sent to Babylon, to Nebuchadrezzar, king of Babylon, saying, Thus says Adonai Zavat, the God of Israel, to all those in captivity whom I have removed as captives into exile from Jerusalem to Babylon. Build houses and live in them. Also plant gardens and eat their fruits. Take wives and have sons and daughters, and take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands, so that they may bear sons and daughters and multiply there, and do not decrease. Also seek the shalom of the city, where I took you as captives in exile, and pray to Adonai for it is in shalom will you have shalom. For thus says Adonai, the God of Israel, do not let your prophets who are among you or your diviners beguile you, and pay no attention to the dreams which you make them keep dreaming. For they prophesy falsely to you in my name. I have not sent them, it is a declaration of Adonai. For thus says Adonai, after 70 years for Babylon are complete, I will visit you and fulfill my good word toward you to bring you back to this place. For I know the plans that I have in mind for you, declares the Lord. Plans for shalom and not calamity, to give you a future and a hope. Then you will call on me and come and pray to me. Then I will listen to you. You will seek me and you will find me, when you will search for me with all your heart. Then I will be found by you, says Adonai, and I will return you from exile to gather you from all the nations and from all the places where I have driven you, says Adonai, and I will bring you back to the place from which I removed you as captives into exile. For you have said, Adonai has raised up prophets for us in Babylon. For thus says Adonai about the king who sits on the throne of David, and about all the people who dwell in this city, your kinsmen who do not go with you into captivity. Thus says Adonai Zavat, I'm about to send on them the sword, famine, and pestilence, and will make them like vile figs that cannot be eaten. They are so bad. I will pursue them with the sword, famine, and pestilence, and will make them a horror to all kingdoms of the earth, a curse and an astonishment, a hissing and a disgrace among all the nations where I have driven them, because they have not listened to my words, declares Adonai, which I sent to them, to my servants the prophets, sending them early and often, but you would not hear. It is a declaration of Adonai, but you hear the words of Adonai, all you of the exile whom I have sent from Jerusalem to Babylon. Thus says Adonai Zavat, the God of Israel, concerning Ahab, son of Koliah, and concerning Zedekiah, son of Maaseiah, who prophesy a lie to you in my name. I will soon deliver them into the hands of King Nebuchadrezzar of Babylon, and he will slay them before your eyes. So a curse will be taken up by everyone in exile from Judah who are in Babylon, saying, May Adonai make you like Zedekiah and like Ahab, whom the king of Babylon roasted in the fire, because they have been disgraceful in Israel, committing adultery with their neighbors' wives and speaking words in my name falsely, which I did not command them. But I am the one who knows, and I am a witness. It is a declaration of Adonai. Now concerning Shemaiah, then Nehelemite, you will surely say, Thus declares Adonai Zavat, the God of Israel, saying, Because you have sent letters to your own name to all the people who are at Jerusalem, to Zephaniah, son of Maaseiah, the Kohen, and to all the Kohanim, saying, Adonai has made you Kohen instead of Jehoiada, the Kohen, so that there should be officers in the house of Adonai for every madman prophesying, and so that you will put him in the stocks and iron collars. So now, why haven't you rebuked Jeremiah of Anathoth, who makes himself out to be a prophet to you? For he has sent word to us in Babylon, saying, The exile will be long. Build houses and live in them. Plant gardens and eat their fruit. So Zephaniah the Kohen read this letter in the ears of the prophet Jeremiah. Then the word of Adonai came to Jeremiah, saying, Send word to all the captivity, saying, Thus says Adonai concerning Shemaiah the Nehelemite, because Shemaiah the prophet has prophesied to you, though I did not send him, and he has caused you to trust in a lie. Therefore, thus says Adonai, I will indeed punish Shemaiah the Nehelemite and his offspring. There will be none living among this people, and will not see the good that I will do to my people, declares Adonai, because he has spoke rebellion against Adonai. Jeremiah chapter 30, return from exile. The word came to Jeremiah from Adonai, saying, Thus says Adonai, the God of Israel, write all the words that I have spoken to you in a scroll, for behold, the days are coming, declares Adonai, when I will return my people Israel and Judah from exile, declares Adonai. I will bring them back into the land that I gave to their fathers, and they will possess it, the dread of Jacob's trouble. Now these are the words that Adonai spoke to Israel and to Judah. For thus says Adonai, We heard a sound of trembling, of dread, there is no shalom. Ask now and see whether a man can give birth. Why do I see every man with his hands on his loins like a woman giving birth? Why have all the faces turned pale? Oi, for that day is monumental. There will be none like it, a time of trouble for Jacob, yet out of it he will be saved. A Davidic king brings healing. It will be in that day, it is a declaration of Adonai Zavat, that I will break his yoke from off your neck and will tear off your bonds. Foreigners will no longer enslave him. Instead, they will serve Adonai their God and David their king, whom I will raise up for them. So now do not fear Jacob, my servant, says Adonai, nor be dismayed, O Israel. For behold, I will save you from afar, your seed from the land of their exile. Jacob will again be quiet and at ease, and no one will make him afraid. For I am with you, declares Adonai, to save you, for I will make a full end of all the nations where I scatter you, but I will not make a full end of you, for I will discipline you justly, but will not have you unpunished. For thus says Adonai, your heart is incurable, and your wound is severe. No one pleads your cause, for there is no remedy for your wound, no healing for you. All your lovers have forgotten you, they are not looking for you, for I wounded you as an enemy with cruel punishment, because your iniquity is vast, your sins innumerable. Why cry about your fracture? Your pain is no cure. Because your iniquity is vast, your sins innumerable. I did these things to you, that all who devour you will be devoured, and all your foes, all of them, will go into captivity. Those plundering you will be plundered, and all preying on you I give as prey. For I will restore health to you, and will heal you of your wounds. It is a declaration of Adonai. For they call you an outcast, Zion, no one cares about her. Thus says Adonai, indeed, I will return Jacob's tents from exile and have compassion on his dwellings. The city will be rebuilt in her mound. The citadel will stand in its rightful place. Out of them will come thanksgiving and the sound of celebration. I will multiply them, so they will not decrease. I will also honor them, so they will not be significant. His children also will be as formerly, his community set up before me, and I will punish all his oppressors. His noble one will be one of his own. His ruler will come forth from among his own. I will bring him near, and he will approach me. For who is he who will pledge his heart to approach me? It is a declaration of Adonai. So you will be my people, and I will be your God. Look, a storm of Adonai. Fury has burst out as a churning storm, whirling about the head of the wicked. Adonai's fierce anger will not turn back until he has done it, until he fulfills the purposes of his heart. In the last days, you will understand it. At that time, declares Adonai, I will be God to all families of Israel, and they will be my people. Jeremiah 31, saving the remnant. Thus says Adonai, the people surviving the sword found grace in the wilderness where I gave Israel rest. From afar Adonai appeared to me. Yes, I have loved you with an everlasting love, but therefore I have drawn you with loving kindness. Again I will build you, so you will be rebuilt, virgin Israel. Again you will take up your tambourines and ornaments and go out to the dances of merrymakers. Again you will plant vineyards on the hills of Samaria. Your planters will plant and use them, for there will be a day when watchmen will call out in the hill country of Ephraim, arise, let us go up to Zion, to Adonai our God. For thus says Adonai, sing aloud with joy for Jacob, shout with the chief of the nations. Proclaim, give praise, and say, Adonai, save your people, the remnant of Israel. Behold, I will bring them from the north country, and I will gather them from the ends of the earth, among them the blind and the lame, the pregnant together with she who is in labor with child. A great throng will return here. With weeping and supplications they will come. I will bring them, leading them to walk by streams of water on a straight path where they will not stumble. For I am Israel's father, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Hear the word of Adonai, O nations, and declare it in the distant islands. And say, he who scattered Israel will gather and watch over him as a shepherd does his flock. For Adonai has ransomed Jacob. He redeemed him from his hand of the one stronger than he. They will come and sing on Zion's height, radiant over the bounty of Adonai, over the grain, the wine, the oil, and the young of the flock, and their life will be like a watered garden. They will never languish again. Then will the virgin rejoice in the dance, both young men and old men together, for I will turn their mourning into joy, and I will comfort them and make them rejoice out of their sorrow, fill their soul of the Kohanim with fatness. My people will be satisfied with my goodness. It is a declaration of Adonai. Grief turned to joy. Thus says Adonai, a voice is heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping, Rachel weeping for her children, refusing to be comforted for her children, because they are no more. Thus says Adonai, restrain your voice from weeping, and your eyes from tears, for your work will be rewarded. It is a declaration of Adonai. When they will return from the land of the enemy, so there is hope for your future. It is a declaration of Adonai. When your children will return to their own territory, I indeed heard Ephraim grieving. You have disciplined me. I was disciplined like an untrained calf. Restore me, and I will return, for you are my Adonai, my God. For after I returned, I repented, and after that I was instructed. I struck my thigh. I was ashamed and also humiliated, for I bore the disgrace in my youth. Is Ephraim a precious son to me? Is he a delightful child? For as often as I spoke against him, I still remember him. Therefore my heart yearns for him. I will surely have compassion on him. It is a declaration of Adonai. Erect road markers, set up signposts, set your heart toward the highway, the way by which you traveled. Return, O Virgin Israel. Return to your cities. How long will you waver, O backsliding daughter? For Adonai has created a new thing on earth. A woman surrounds a man. Thus says Adonai Zavat, the God of Israel. Yet again will they use this expression in the land of Judah and in its cities, when I will return them from exile. Adonai bless you, O dwelling of righteousness, O mountain of holiness. Judah and all his cities will dwell there together. The farmer and those who go about with the flocks will satisfy the weary soul, and every languishing soul will refresh. At this point I awoke, looked around, and my sleep was sweet to me. Behold, days are coming, it is the declaration of Adonai, when I will sow the house of Israel and the house of Judah with the seed of man and with the seed of the beast. Just as I have watched over them to uproot and to pull down, to overthrow, to destroy, and to bring disaster, then I will watch over them to build and to plant, says Adonai. In those days they will no longer say, the fathers have eaten sour grapes, and the children's teeth are blunted. Rather, each will die for his own iniquity. If anyone eats the sour grapes, his own teeth will be blunted. New covenant foretold. Behold, days are coming, it is a declaration of Adonai, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not like the covenant I made with their fathers. In the day I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, for they broke my covenant, though I was a husband to them. It is a declaration of Adonai. But this is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel after those days. It is a declaration of Adonai. I will put my Torah within them. Yes, I will write it on their heart. I will be their God, and they will be my people. No longer will each teach his neighbor, each his brother, saying, Know Adonai, for they will all know me, from the least of them to the greatest. It is a declaration of Adonai. If I will forgive their iniquity, their sin, I will remember no more. Thus says Adonai, who gives the sun as light by day and the fixed order of the moon, and the stars as light by night, who stirs up the sea so its waves roar. Adonai Zavat is his name. Only if this fixed order departs from before me, it is a declaration of Adonai. Then also might Israel's offspring cease from me, being a nation before me for all time. Thus says Adonai, only if heaven above can be measured and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, then also I will cast off the offspring of Israel for all they have done. It is a declaration of Adonai. Behold, days are coming, it is a declaration of Adonai, when the city will be rebuilt for Adonai from the tower of Hananel to the corner gate. The measuring line will go out farther, straight to the Gareb hill, then turn to Goa, then the whole valley, the dead bodies and the ashes, and all the fields up to the Kidron Valley to the corner of the horse gate toward the east will be holy to Adonai. It will never be uprooted or thrown down again forever. Jeremiah chapter 32. Why Jeremiah bought property. The word that came to Jeremiah from Adonai in the 10th year of King Zedekiah of Judah, which was the 18th year of Nebuchadrezzar. Now at that time the king of Babylon's army was besieging Jerusalem, and Jeremiah the prophet was shut up in the court of the guard, which was in the palace of the king of Judah, for King Zedekiah of Judah had shut him up, saying, Why do you still prophesy? Why do you prophesy and say, Thus says Adonai, I will soon give this city into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he will take it, and King zedekiah of Judah will not escape out of the hand of the Chaldeans, but will surely be given into the hand of the king of Babylon, and will speak with him mouth to mouth, and his eyes will behold his eyes, and he will lead Zedekiah to Babylon, and there he will remain until I take note of him, says Adonai. Though you fight with the Chaldeans, you will not succeed. So Jeremiah said, the word of Adonai came to me, saying, Hanamel, son of Shallum, your uncle, will soon come to you, saying, Buy for yourself my field in Anathoth, for the right of my redemption is yours to buy it. So my uncle's son Hanamel came to me in the court of the guard, as was the word of Adonai, and said to me, Buy my field, please, which is in Anathoth in the land of Benjamin, for the right of inheritance is yours, and the redemption is yours. Buy it for yourself. Then I knew that this was the word of Adonai. So I brought the field that was in Anathoth from the son of my uncle Hanamel, and weighed him the money, 17 shekels of silver. I signed and sealed the deed, called in witnesses, and weighed the money on the scales. Then I took the purchase deed, both the sealed copy containing the terms and conditions and the open copy, and I gave the purchase deed to Baruch, son of Neriah, son of Maaseiah, in the presence of my uncle's son Hanamel, and in the presence of the witnesses that subscribed to the purchase deed, before all the Jews that sat in the court of the guard. Then I charged Baruch before them, saying, Thus says Adonai Savat, the God of Israel, take these deeds, the purchase deeds, both the sealed copy and the open copy, and put them in a clay jar, so they may last many days. For thus says Adonai Zavat, the God of Israel, houses and fields and vineyards will yet again be bought in this land. After I have given the purchase deed to Baruch, son of Neriah, I prayed to Adonai, saying, Ah, my Lord Adonai, behold, you have made the heavens and the earth by your great power and by your outstretched arm. Nothing is too hard for you. You are the one doing mercy to thousands, but repaying the iniquity of the fathers into the lap of their children after them. Great, mighty God, Adonai Zavat, is his name, great in counsel and mighty indeed, whose eyes were open to all the ways of his children of men, to give each one according to his ways and according to the fruit of his deeds. You set signs and wonders in this land of Egypt, and even to this day in Israel and among mankind, and made yourself a name. And as to this day, you brought your people Israel out of the land of Egypt with signs and wonders, with a strong hand and an outstretched arm, and with great terror. You gave them this land which you swore to their fathers to give them, a land flowing with milk and honey. They came in and possessed it, but they did not obey your voice, nor walk in your Torah. They have done nothing of all you commanded them to do. Therefore you caused all this evil to fall on them. Look, the siege ramps have just come up to the city to take it. The city has been handed over to the Chaldeans, fighting against it because of the sword, the famine, and the pestilence. What you have spoken has happened. Here it is, you see it. Yet you said to me, my Lord Adonai, buy for yourselves the field for money, and call in witnesses, even as the city is handed over to the Chaldeans. Then came the word of Adonai to Jeremiah, saying, Behold, I am Adonai, the God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me? Therefore thus says Adonai, I am about to give this city into the hand of the Chaldeans and Nebuchadrezzar, king of Babylon, and he will take it. Then the Chaldeans, fighting against this city, will come and set this city on fire and burn it, with the houses where they burned incense to Baal on their roofs and poured out drink offerings to other gods to provoke me. For the children of Israel and the children of Judah have done nothing but evil in my sight from their youth. Indeed, the children of Israel have done nothing but provoke me with the work of their hands, declares Adonai. Indeed, this city has caused my anger, and out of my fury from the day that they built it up to this day, so that I will remove it from before my face, because of all evil and the children of Israel and the children of Judah have done to provoke me. They, their kings, their princes, their Kohanim, their prophets, the men of Judah, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, they have turned their back to me and not their face. Though I taught them early and often, they have not listened to receive instruction. Instead, they set up their abominations in the house where my name is called to defile it. They built the high places of Baal in the valley of Ben Hinnom to make their sons and their daughters pass through the fire to Molech, something I never commanded them, nor did it enter my mind that they would do this loathsome thing, causing Judah to sin. Now therefore thus says Adonai, the God of Israel, concerning this city, about what you say, it is handed over to the king of Babylon by the sword, famine, and pestilence. See, I will gather them out of all the countries where I have driven them out in my anger, my fury, and great wrath, and I will bring them back to this place and cause them to dwell securely. They will be my people, and I will be their God. I will give them one heart and one way, so they may fear me forever, for their good and for their children after them. I will make an everlasting covenant with them. I will never turn away from them, doing good for them. I will put my fear in their hearts, so that they will not depart from me. Oh my gosh, this is good. Yes, I will delight in doing good for them, and with all my heart and my soul I will dwell. I will in truth plant them in this land. For thus says Adonai, just as I have brought all this great evil on this people, so I will bring them all the good that I have promised. So fields will be bought in this land, about which you are saying it will be desolation. Without man or beast, it is handed over to the Chaldeans. Men will buy fields for money and sign a seal the deeds and call witnesses in the land of Benjamin, and in the areas around Jerusalem, and the towns of Judah, and in the towns of the hill country, and the towns of the foothills, and the cities of the south, because I will bring them back from exile. It is a declaration of Adonai. Jeremiah chapter 33. The secret of redemption. Then the word of Adonai came to Jeremiah a second time while he was confined in the guard's courtyard, saying, Thus says Adonai the Maker, Adonai who is formed to make it firm. Adonai is his name. Call to me, and I will answer you. I will tell you great and hidden things which you do not know. For thus says Adonai, the God of Israel, concerning the houses of the city and concerning the houses of the king of Judah, which are torn down against the siege ramps and against the sword. They are coming to fight with the Chaldeans, but they are about to fill them up with dead bodies to the people whom I will slay in my anger and in my fury. I have hidden my face from this city because of all their wickedness. Indeed, I will bring in health and healing, and I will surely heal them. I will reveal to them an abundance of shalom and truth. I will restore Judah from exile and Israel from exile, and will rebuild them as in former times. I will also cleanse them from all their iniquity in which they have sinned against me, and I will pardon all their wrongs in which they have sinned against me, in which they have rebelled against me. Then this city will be to me for a name of joy, praise, and glory before all the nations of the earth, which will hear the good that I do for them, so that they will fear and tremble because of all the good and for all the shalom that I do for it. The voice of the bridegroom. Thus says Adonai, yet again in this place, which you are saying is a waste without man or beast, in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem, the desolate, without man, without inhabitant, and without beast, there will be heard the voice of joy and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, the voice of them who say, Give thanks to Adonai Zavat, for Adonai is good, for his love endures forever, as they bring offerings of thanksgiving into the house of Adonai. For I will restore the land from the exile as it was at first, declares Adonai. Thus says Adonai Zavad, yet again will there be in this place, which is waste without man and without beast, and its all its cities a pasture of shepherds and making their flocks lie down. In the towns of the hill country, and the towns of the foothills, and the towns of the south, and the lands of Benjamin, and the places around Jerusalem, and in the towns of Judah will the flocks again pass under the hands of the one who counts them, declares Adonai, righteous branch of David. Behold, days are coming, it is a declaration of Adonai, when I will fulfill the good word I spoke concerning the house of Israel and concerning the house of Judah. In those days and at that time I will cause a branch of righteousness to spring up for David, and he will execute justice and righteousness in his land. In those days will Judah be saved, and Jerusalem will dwell safely. And in this name by which he will be called, Adonai our righteousness. For thus says Adonai, for David there will not be cut off a man sitting on the throne for the house of Israel, nor will the Levitical Kohanim ever lack a man before me to offer burnt offering, to burn grain offerings, and to make sacrifices continually. And the word of Adonai came to Jeremiah, saying, thus says Adonai, if you can break my covenant with the day and my covenant with the night, so that the day and night would not be at their appointed time, only then may my covenant be broken with my servant David, that he would not have a son to reign on his throne, and the Levitical Kohanim would not be my ministers, as the host of heaven cannot be numbered, nor the sand of the sea measured. So I will multiply the offspring of David my servant, the Levites, who minister to me. The word of Adonai came to Jeremiah, saying, have you not noticed what this people have spoken? Saying, the two families which Adonai did choose, he has rejected them. Thus they despise my people, no longer a nation before them. Thus says Adonai, if I have not made my covenant of day and night firm, and the fixed patterns ordering the heavens and the earth, only then would I reject the offspring of Jacob and of my servant David, so that I would not take from his offspring rulers over the offspring of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, for I will restore them from their exile and have compassion on them.